What's good, everybody? It's your boy Piston Mike. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell button. 68% of you guys are not subscribed. I don't know why. It don't cost you anything, not even a nickel or dime. I'm going to do a special live stream today, a Pistons live stream. We got a lot to talk about. I'm going to bring on this very, very, very special guest, my boy Steve. He does really great articles for DetroitBadBoys.com. Make sure you go check him out. Make sure you go read his stories. Definitely show him some love over there. He makes great content. And yeah, man, we're going to get into it because the NBA draft lottery is tomorrow. We got Rip Hamilton. My boy Rip Hamilton is definitely he will represent the Detroit for the draft lottery. So hopefully that brings us some more good luck. I'm ready. I'm excited for it. So yeah, we're gonna go in here and chop it up. Maybe some free agent free agent that might come to the Pistons. Who knows? But you guys make sure you stay tuned. Um, for sure. So yeah. What's going on, bro? How you been?
I'm all right, and yourself?
I'm okay, man. It's a pleasure working with you again, man. Make sure you plug your stuff. Tell me to find you as always.
Yeah, man. I'm always at DetroitBadBoys.com. We just started our draft series, so there'll be a couple different things. Like Bryce Simon from Motor City Hoops wrote about Paulo and Jabari Smith. I think Jack Kelly wrote Benedict Mathurin. I'm doing one on Chet Holmgren and then on Johnny Davis as well. That should be coming out. Scott did one on Jaden Ivey. And I'm uncertain on the other ones, though, but look out. Basically, everybody that's going to be in the top 10 or projected to be in the top 10 is the people we're covering.
All right. Well, I wanted to ask Rip Hamilton is representing the Pistons in the NBA draft lottery. How you feel about it? And you think Rip gonna bring us some luck?
We'll see. We'll see. Because I remember looking back, just going back and forth on like when they were like, consistently leading the tank charge. Because those were the ones that got him Embiid, um, Jaleel Okafor, Simmons, and I think they had another top three pick. So it's like mathematically not very good. As much as I love Rip, I still always maintain like the league doesn't want us to have the number one pick. Always, so I would think like six would be my prediction if I had to bet. It's like they'll probably end up with like the sixth pick because the league loves screwing over Detroit.
Yeah, it's possible. It is very possible. I also did a video today. I think we in there, like you said, Grant would say if three, he's definitely. Do you believe in that same idea?
I don't know anymore. It's hard because they played so well together down the stretch. It'd be hard to see them leave. But again, like the contract situation, he's asking for what, like 25 million a season, something like that, which I think is reasonable for a guy that's a combo forward that legitimately could defend Giannis and KD in the East, or like LeBron and trying to think the other like Luca in the West. So I think that's reasonable enough that the Pistons wouldn't like say no to that. 25 million in a couple of years is like super affordable. As much as I love Tobias Harris, it'd be one thing like that. Like the Tobias Harris contract, people always diss on it because they're like, he's not worth that money. But it's like, yeah, but he's still super productive. And so somebody who's at that same level, but a better defender, and he's going to be cheaper than Tobias, like I would have no problem with it. He's Troy Weaver's guy too, so I guess if I had to bet, that's probably where I lean more towards is that they're not going to trade him just because like that's Troy's guy. That's who he went out and got. And again, with the numbers that have been thrown out there for what he wants, that's totally fine, to me. And again, Cade, Sadiq, Jeremy, they look great together down the stretch. And me personally, I would hate for them to just kind of give up on it right away. And Grant's not exactly old, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a fair point. Yeah, all
Yeah.
that makes sense. So we would definitely see what happens. But what has been interesting, everybody sees that Andre Ayton is mad after because kind of crap to bed every month from Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Now that DeAndre Ayton gonna come piss. I still don't think it happens. I'm being realistic. I don't think he leaves. Matt, Matt out, but is there other realistically you see coming? I'm not talking about big, solid guys, like solid guys.
Yeah, I mean, number one would be Gary Payton. The second, it's a shame he got hurt by that hack job in Memphis. Like that Dylan Brooks foul was so stupid. But I think he'd be somebody I think they should look at because he could be that point guard defender, super explosive, athletic. I think he's like 28, 29, so he's a little bit on the older side, but still, he's exactly that type of complementary guard that they want next to Cade. And I think at this point too, like to me, Benedict Matherin's the only one that really makes like perfect sense in terms of like somebody they would draft. Like I know recently on Game Theory, James Edward III and Sam Vecini went back and forth on Jaden Ivey, and I'm glad James stood up and said like, no, I don't see it, and like the reasons that he laid out there, I think wouldn't work. Whereas somebody like GP3 or GP2 would be perfect because again, he's mainly the defender. He can't shoot threes, he doesn't shoot a ton, but he's super explosive, and he's more than happy being a complimentary guy like you've seen in Golden State between Clay and Steph. He can do that same thing here in Detroit, while also adding like that type of a lob threat. But top-notch defender, a dude that's worth big money to. I don't know that Golden State would really fight to keep him that much. And I would personally like throw like 3 years, 30 million, maybe even 3 years, like 45, just to try and get him because it's not that long of a contract. And again, this is a guy that's fought tooth and nail through the G League. You've seen the impact he had on Memphis in the playoffs in both rounds. So he'd be somebody I think should be up there. And the other one is Mo Bamba. Like we've laid out before, super long. He's starting to come into his own. He can shoot threes. He offers something that Bisu doesn't with his length and being able to be more of a lab threat in that area. So I think he's a big that they should actually look into. Because even somebody like Mitchell Robinson, I wouldn't be upset with it. That'd be somebody also. But again, he's also restricted and he's not necessarily one-dimensional, but he definitely doesn't offer the same type of tools and the same type of skill set that Mo Bamba can. Even Mo Bamba shot some like 33.7%, I think, from three this year. I can give you the exact numbers here in a second, but like, Mitchell Robinson doesn't offer stretching the floor even like in the mid-range. So, yeah, Mo Bamba shot 38% from three this year. So even better on 4 attempts a game. So, yeah, definitely he'd be somebody I think, again, he's a restricted free agent too, I believe. So he'd be somebody 45 million, 60 million, 3 years, somewhere in there. I think that would be worth it. And I don't know, that one's harder to see like what Orlando would do because they played him and Wendell Carter Jr. a lot together. But my guess is they don't because they have Franz Wagner there and Chuma Okeke, and that just seems like those would be the guys that would slot into Wendell Carter better than Mo Bamba. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely. Not only that, what if they stay at the top of the board and draft the chat? I think Mo Bamba would be the odd man out. When Moore is actually, Wendell Carter is actually playing. Yeah, who knows? But I would definitely, I want Bamba. If I was Troy Weaver, that's my number one guy. I'm cool on DeAndre Ayton. I want people who just be having bad play. Sign me up for Mo Bamba. That's all I'm saying on another guy that I like. Kind of in the interest situation, kind of like I See, I've heard that Lonnie Walker, Lonnie Walker, I would try to go after Lonnie Walker. I'm not gonna lie and see what I can get for him. Maybe like 7 million, because I think they got too many guards. This way guard gonna have to figure out, who's gonna be the guards, who's gonna step, who's gonna go. Just guards. I like Lonnie Walker.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely kick the tires on it. Lonnie Walker scored 12.1 points per game this year, 2.6 rebounds, 2.2 assists, only one turnover a game too, so he's not like turning over time. He shot 48.7% from two, 31.4% from three, and then 78.4% from the line. Super athletic too. I think he's 6'4" and like 205, I want to say. Yeah, so they list him as 6'4", 204. If he shot threes better, yeah, that'd be another guy that would be like, go ahead, throw a bigger deal at him. My guess is San Antonio keeps him. But you're right, they have a lot of guards. But he still played quite a bit of minutes last year. He played 1,612, which is like fourth on the team, or fifth on the team, excuse me. So he still played a significant role. But again, they have Keldon Johnson, DeJounte Murray, Devin Vassell, Trey Jones, Josh Primo still got to get minutes. And I would guess that too. Like maybe Primo probably takes his spot next year just because he's younger. So again, that's another one too. I think it's just dependent on it. But 23-year-old dude that's still like finding his way, can hang defensively. Another guy like a GP2 who's a good lob threat, good athlete, so he brings something else and is committed to defense. I don't know that he's as good of a defender as GP2 because GP2, like I said, is a difference maker in the playoffs. So that's another level of guy. Again, if he shot threes better, I'd be more open to it. That's kind of been his knock since coming out of Miami is he a three-point shooter? Will this develop? He took 5 attempts a game, so it's not like, he's barely taking any, but 31.4%, obviously not fantastic. That's pretty much all I can say is it really would depend on the money, but I've always liked him. It's just that three-point shot's got to come around because he's going to be a complimentary player to Cade, right?
True.
The lob threat helps, but he's got to have some shooting too.
True. I to me is kind of worth it. Another with you, okay? There's rumors that they could trade a pick. Players, do you think would trade a pick? There's been rumors Shy, a Donovan Mitchell. Do you see another guard up for that they got for that lottery pick?
I don't know, yeah. Because like the Donovan Mitchell thing, that seems like a bad pairing with he and Cade because Mitchell needs he needs the ball in his hands. He's not necessarily heliocentric like the only guy in Utah, but it's pretty close, right? So that one to me would be hard to see since Cade is the guy and the way that Troy Weaver and Dwayne Casey have built it up is we want this to start with Cade and then we'll build out from there. So I don't see that. Shea probably stays there in OKC. Like they gave up a lot to give him. I don't see that happening. I really can't see like anybody. I mean, I don't even know who else would be on the move. Bradley Beal hasn't seemed like he's going to move at all, and I would think he'd go to contender anyway, right? Yeah, I don't know who else would even be out there that could be on the move. And even then, like again, Cade's the guy, right? So. That presents another level of difficulty in that. So I think of the guys that are available, I just don't see it happening because they would have to supplant Cade, which is at this point ridiculous.
Yeah. I agree, and that's a very good point. Another thing I want to do is the Pistons brung in workout with Harry Steve, do you really like him as a prospect? I know the jump shot is atrocious. If he can work,
It's busted, man.
but do you really like him as a prospect, or you kind of whatever?
He's a guy that I would like him and his teammate Jaquavian Smith. Like both those dudes, like if I had any, like if I were an advisor to them, I would say go back.
Mm,
That NC State team, for one, was terrible with them leading the way. They were 11-21.
mm,
And I mean, a lot of it is because these guys just took a bunch of shots and just kind of ran and didn't do anything. And it's not necessarily that they're like bad IQ guys, but that they needed to score. Those were their two guys. And it's just hard to know like how that is going to translate into an NBA system when you're the guy and you're just, putting up a lot of shots. Then you come in and you're obviously not a top pick. You're not in the lottery. You're not a top three. And like Traquavion Smith shot 39.8% total from the field. Darion Sebron shot 25.6% from three,
mm.
and he only took 1.3 a game. So again, it's like I said, busted. This is a major hole in his game. He's also like hard to get a read on because his main skill is like getting to the rim and rebounding. He pulled in 8.2 rebounds per game. He's 6'7", 180. So, like, what even is he? I guess he would be slotted in at small forward. Maybe he can be guard because he didn't dish out 3.2 assists. He's somebody I really didn't do a deep dive on film on just because I think he'll have to return to develop something, whether that is like being more of a ball handler, becoming more of like a Kyle Anderson type of slow-mo. Well, not that he's slow, but just that type of like I have size, so I can slot into a forward or another position. I don't necessarily have to be a point guard. Maybe he does tighten up his handle and come that way, or at least like get some semblance of a jump shot. Because again, when you're 6'7", 180, already that slots you into what, like guard? That's tiny. Like 180 for a small forward, even in today's NBA, is small. 3.2 assists, again, it's good. It's a positive indicator, but he's obviously not going to be a elite ball handler. And then the fact he has no jump shot is just further limiting him even more. So I don't want to say I dislike him, but he definitely would not be somebody I would invest a first round pick in. And he'd probably be like in the 51 to 60 range before I would even consider it. Is there guys in the second round that I can already say like, yeah, this looks like somebody that could fill a role. And I mean, that's really in the second round what you're looking for. You're just looking for somebody to fill a role. And somebody like us who's like super raw and positionless, it's hard to know exactly what you're going to have him doing. On this Pistons team, too, I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, I agree. We kind of do need more shooting. To be honest, we need a lot more shooting. Very interesting though, to say the least. There's the G League training camp start. There's a few guys I'm keeping an eye on. Is there any of you guys that think they invited to the NBA combine for the G League?
Yeah, let me look at the list here real quick. Where are we at? Oh, that's the regular combine. Where is the G League one? There it is, 44 prospects. I mean, Hyungjun Lee from Davidson is a shooter. He's kind of stiff and whatever, but he definitely would be somebody I think, like, if he stood out, he could be, like, invited to the combine. If he shoots it well, then it's hard to pass up something like that as well. And he's like 6'7", 210. So at that size, again, he's like Cam Johnson, Duncan Robinson, these taller shooters that when they light it up, it'll make a big difference.
Yeah. There's two guys, and I wanted to tell you about Buddy Boeheim.
Yeah, I'm not a Buddy Boeheim fan. Like,
You don't like him? Nah.
no, I think he's a chucker, maybe one. And I mean, like, I always hate to bring this up, but when the coaches get that much shine, it's personally hard for me to get on board because it's like it's their kid, you know. But in Buddy Bayham's defense, he is clearly their best scoring option. So yeah, he didn't shoot it very well this year from three either, if I remember correctly. Let me pull up Syracuse's roster. Um, Again, he'd be somebody I'd say go back. I believe he's like 6'6" too. Yeah, 6'6", 195 is what he's listed at. And this year he shot 34.1% from three. Not bad. I mean, 8.1 attempts per game, so he was having to put up a bunch. But defensively, I don't know that he's that great. And I could, like, Young junglee is another better example. I feel more confident in him. I feel more confident in, like, a Johnny Juzang. That guy, these guys are all bigger too.
Right.
Even some undrafted guys like Caden Rice, who's out of Georgetown.
Okay.
Like all that guy does is shoot threes pretty much, but he's like maybe the best 3-point shooter in this class is up there. And there's a guy from Tulsa too that I can dry horn. He's another guy that like 6'7", 220 is a good shooter. There are just a bunch of other guys in this role that do it better than Buddy and that actually can do something else other than that. So that'd be another one. And Gabe Brown from Michigan State, 6'7", 210. He'd be another guy. He's there at the G League Combine. He'd be another guy that I would definitely advocate for over Michael DeVoe, too, another guy from Georgia Tech. I think he's like 6'5" so. But again, he's another guy that's been a good shooter for a while. So I would. There's a bunch of guys ahead of Buddy Bayham that could fill that role better.
Yeah, I like Michael DeVoe.
Yeah,
I like him. He nice game. That's another thing I want to ask about guard that I like. I think he got injured, but it looks like he's ready to go into the G League. I believe his name is Marcus Saucer.
Sasser.
Yeah, I like.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be a good fit next to Cade, but like I could see him come off the bench and providing us. But I just like. I don't know if you do or don't, but I like he might get a NBA combine if he is fully healthy and play well. I don't know if you do, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then, like, even though you say like it might be an odd fit next to Cade, he's somebody that just chucks up a lot of 3-pointers and makes them like at a pretty good rate. As a freshman at Houston, he put up 5.4 attempts per game and he shot 35.2, which is good. Last year, he shot 33.5%, which doesn't look great, but then you see he shot 8 attempts per game. So again, he's like putting them up and hitting them at a reasonable clip that he has to be accounted for all the time. And then this year, in the 12 games that he did play, he put up 8.6 attempts from three per game and shot 43.7%, which is really good. A smaller sample size, but again, there's a track record of this guy being a floor spacer at least. So he could develop, like there's at least that glimmer of hope that he could develop into this off-ball shooter in like a Gabe Vincent type of role. Plays in Miami now, who's exactly like that too. Sasser's smaller though, 6'1", 190. I think Gabe Vincent's like 6'2", 6'3", but still that same type of player that you could see. Okay, they actually have this, track record of just putting up threes at a high rate and hitting them at a good clip. That, yeah, I could see that at least being something that he'd probably be down to do.
One more prospect to talk about. I think he might be there. There's one dude that I really like NCAA tournament for Miami, and his name is Cameron McGusty. How do you feel about him, or you cool on him? You don't really. I don't know if he's much of a point, but I like the game.
Yeah, he's somebody I know almost nothing about. The main thing with him is he is, I want to say like 25, because he's been in college since 2016. Redshirted, he played at Oklahoma 2 years, redshirted 1 year at Miami, and then played 3 years at Miami. I'm not sure what he is. He's listed at 6'5", 190, so he's probably a shooting guard. And I mean, he played next to Isaiah Long. He's like the main floor spacer, but really his freshman year and this year are the only ones where he shot above 33% from three. So like he's not like the track record of being a floor spacer is not fantastic. And then like his career high for assists per game was 2.8, which was last year, which again is not fantastic. I just think the age plus the fact that I'm not sure what his role is, that just makes it a little bit harder to get a good read on what exactly he is. And let me see if I can give you an exact age on here. He is 24 years old. September 9th is his birthday, so he'd be 25 on draft night. So I think that more than anything, as much as I hate it, like I don't like to just, start the evaluation with age, but I'm not an NBA team. And that obviously matters to them. You have to be Chris Duarte level good on both defense to be a difference maker and like extremely efficient on offense like Chris Duarte was in order to even be considered in the first round. So I just think it'd be hard for him to jump somebody like Kevin McCullough, who might also have shooting concerns, but he's been labeled as like the best perimeter defender in the draft, and that carries a big weight. Whereas somebody like Cameron McGusty, I'm not sure what his standout skill is.
Mm. Is there anything you looking for to draft NBA Combine? Like, is there a certain measurement you wait for
I
Duke?
mean, obviously, like wingspan and hand size, like that's cool to see, but that doesn't always work out. Going back to the Mo Bamba thing, he's just now figuring it out. But I remember he had the longest like wingspan of anybody measured at the time and stuff. And even somebody like what's the guy's name that plays for Utah? He went to Kansas. Azubuike again, another guy that like physically was great, but um, the measurements haven't translated, and obviously he's not as athletic as other people, so not so much. I think the combine is one of the, I don't want to say it's not that important, but it is definitely one of the lesser important things in terms of like the whole scouting profile. There's, I just can't think of too many prospects where it ended up like mattering that much, right?
Right, right. I do agree. I think I might be a little bit overlooked, especially for, like people who can probably like draft as well athletically. You know, I think he can be a little bit harsh to them, like people like John who can't jump out the gym just because somebody jump out. Don't they thinking that there's a ton of NBA players who don't really have that much athleticism that sticks. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the difference between somebody like Reggie Bullock and Derek Jones Jr., right? Like Reggie Bullock, like not a fantastic athlete, but he's in the playoffs now. He's making a difference because he shoots and he plays defense. Where I mean, like those things you just can't measure. Whereas Derek Jones Jr. is out of the league because he couldn't find a role. He's super athletic, and people tried to fit him in power forward and dunker spot stuff, but
Mm.
nothing else ever really came around.
Yeah. Um. What was I going to ask? What I was going to
If I
ask?
could jump in here, there's one other guy in the, at least a couple other guys in the
Mm.
G League Combine, but my favorite guy is definitely Pete Nance. I think we talked about him before. He's listed as a forward from Northwestern, 6'10", 225. He's Larry Nance's other kid, so Larry Nance Jr. is his brother. So he's got that family line. He's been tested all his life. He put up 14.6 points per game, 51.5% from 2-point range, 45.2% from three, 6.5 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and 1.1 blocks. He's not that much of a defender right now, but 50-40 and then 76.8 from the free throw line. He's a good shooter and an underrated passer, I think. Good screener, good lob threat as well. He's, again, somebody who could fill a role that I feel confident in taking in the second round and being like, yeah, you could play this guy next to Pete Stewart. Like, yeah, you can run pick and pop with Cater with Killian. So and run pick and roll with him as well. And again, he's already come from family line that prepared him for the NBA and has good size and athleticism. So he's somebody I feel confident in and definitely would want to draft in the second round to be up there.
Mm. Yeah. It's very interesting. It's definitely gonna be interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. Draft season. I can't wait to see who the Pistons are out in, but it's all gonna be very interesting. But think I got anything to talk about this quick one. But when are you going to drop that content for the website?
So check comes. It should be coming up in the next week or two. I already sent it through, so I'm not sure when they're releasing it. Like I sent it to my editor, and then he's the one that sets the release on it. So I'm not sure, but definitely look out for it. The first piece in that series on draft stuff just dropped today, and I believe it is on Jabari Smith. Let me tell you here. So yeah, it just dropped today. Just saying we're going to start doing these prospect reviews. Come check it out, DetroitBadBoys.com. All of us put in a lot of time and scouting into it. If you want to go look at some stuff already associated with the channel, though, Motor City Hoops on YouTube, he's already started breaking down individual prospects. I know he's done one on Jaden Ivey, he's done one on Jabari, he's done one on Paulo, he's even done second-round guys like Ibu Baji. So definitely go check those out. He's a former D1 hooper, played for American University, so he knows his stuff and definitely has got a great mind and always super enthusiastic with it. So can't say enough good things about Bryce too. He's a good dude.
Yeah, make sure you check out, make podcast out. It's always a pleasure. Steve, I appreciate it today, and hopefully, the NBA draft lottery guys, right? With Detroit versus do us wrong some way or another.
Hey man, sometimes though, like Giannis went 15, so it doesn't matter. It just matters on getting the pick right.
Yeah, that's true. But always a pleasure, man. And have a good day. Peace.
Yes, sir.